Spoiler alert, this probably will be the hardest class of the basic training. So if you are Rocky, who just learned the user interface, get ready for some really tough training. So as you are working in your script, from time to time you should save a new version to be able to recover if something goes wrong. It is easily done by hitting Alt-Shift-S or this menu option here. See, my version just changed from 2 to 3 and now I have 3 Nuke scripts here. So instead of tracking this solid, we're gonna track our cleanup. And our cleanup will be a freeze-framed wall, as easy as this. So as you can see, when I create a frame hold, my Python script automatically sets it to the frame of the timeline, but you have to set it manually because your frame won't be the timeline frame here. So I frame holded the footage on my reference frame. You see the reference frame was 709, and this means that in any place I will see this freeze frame. So next thing I want to do is to take some part of the wall from here to duplicate it right here. I think I will take this part here. So to do that, we obviously gonna need a roto node. A roto node is created by hitting button O, or you can take it out from the same tab menu. So let's select some area which we're gonna use for this, and let's pre-multiply the RGB. Pre-multiply the RGB with alpha values that we've just drawn with our roto, and connect it to the stream of our tracker so that it will be tracked to the wall. It didn't shift anywhere while I was connecting it to the transform node because I made everything on my reference frame. As I've said, I frame holded footage on 709, drawn the roto on 709, and everything goes smoothly because of that. If it shifts, do it again on your reference frame you use to track things. This will be more right and convenient way to work. So now we have this wall tracked to the same place where it is, but we want it to be moved down, right? So I've created the transform node by hitting T on the keyboard after selecting the roto node. As you select the upper stream node, it will put the node right after it. Very handy. So now I can move this region here. Holding down Control, move this gizmo here where our patch is. We can move it down like that and cover this region here. So we definitely have to color correct it, and we will do so. So first let's expand our roto here. It's also feather it. The feathering is done by holding Control and expanding the edges like that. That's how the feathering is done. Alright, great. Another thing we could also do to enhance this is to make it wider a little bit. You can hit Q to hide the overlays, hit 2 button here to break the scaling to 2 parameters and scale it just a little till it will match this region here like that. Nice. Or maybe too much scaling. Yeah, I think that's good. Alright, so next thing we want to do is the color correction. Color correction is always done before the pre-multiplication. Remember this. You select the frame holds, you hit the G button, you'll get the grade node, where the gamma and gain controls are, which you will mostly use for the start. Let's open this color wheel of gain, holding Control and hitting on it, and now we are able to control the color of this region. So let's try our best to match it. When you are not kinda sure where you should pull the color, you can pull it too strongly down and up, and then you will see kinda the golden medium you need. Basically with every effect in computer graphics, you know, just adjust the value to very strong amount somewhere and you will see if it is right way to go. Alright, so a little bit too greenish I guess, and maybe a little bit. You can also change the values here by selecting them and using your mouse wheel, very handy, to change them like that, and this will help you get the right color of it. Maybe a little bit more magenta. Yeah, I think that's great. We need more gray nodes to color correct this region here and this region here, make them a little bit more integrated. So let's create another grade node. Maybe for these two regions together. Let's see if it will work for them. I've just created a roto node and connected the mask pipe to it, like that, so that now the grade node will work only where the roto node has alpha. See? Every node has a mask like that. If you want to use transform like that, you can use transform masked node example. And merge nodes also have a mask input here, so a lot of nodes has this mask input on the side, on the right side, like that. Draw a couple of rotos here. From time to time I'm hitting Q on the keyboard to hide the overlays, to not pollute my screen, so I can see everything a little bit better. And I just selected these regions here. I want to put a blur node, hitting B on the keyboard after the roto node, and blur the roto a little so that I will feather it quickly this way. And by control selecting this color wheel here, I can again select the gain properties. Exactly, maybe even don't need them. I just want to make everything brighter a little. Yeah, I kind of like that. Let's try gamma. Well, the gamma works a little bit better, I guess. I'm now selecting the boxes with values and using my mouse wheel to change them. And this is what I want. Yeah, the blur node could be stronger, definitely. Yeah, more feathering. Now we've covered this region. Let's adjust the mask a little. Weaker blur. Alright, I think that's great. Let's expand this feathering a little bit more. So another thing you may want to use is smoothing of the points. You can select them here and smooth the points as much as you like. I don't think that too much is needed here. And here's kind of an edge, so we have to deal with it, keep it another color here. Yeah, I think that's great. All right, so let's see how our tracker keeps up with our composing. Probably not the best track, but with motion blur it will be fine. You see that we're getting the issue of color difference in different parts of the frame. So one of the things that could help us here is animating the grade node. So to do that, I suggest you creating separate grade node, because if you do the animation in the same grade node, you will find yourself ripping your hair off. So you can select the next grade node, you can hit this button 4 to separate it to channels, and then you can right click on this curve button here and hit set key, and this way you will set your key on your reference frame 709. Always do things on your reference frame before starting to work everywhere else. So we're gonna go to the end of the sequence here. Let's select the color wheel here and make it kind of more bluish, I guess. I will appreciate if you will share this video. This could be a huge help. Thank you so much. A little bit darker, looks like, because his shadow is falling on it. I have the control over the saturation here, very handy. Yeah, cool. I think this will work. So you see, we have these regions which don't exactly work, and this is not as much because of the color, it is already because of the transformation we have here with our tracker. Remember, we tracked very distant point there, so our rotation and scaling is not correct enough. So the thing we will do is animate the transformation. So to do that, I will create yet another transform node to contain my tracking correction. I will hit the Q to see its gizmo while looking into the transform tab of it. I'll put it where it should be, right here, to the center of this thing to animate it. And I will separate the transforms, go to my reference frame 709, put the keyframes for rotation, translation and scaling, and will go to the end of the frame and correct my track by making it a little bit thinner like that. So this is basically everything I should do here, I guess. Yeah, probably, yeah. So another thing that could help is separating this grade node, taking out this mask from this roto node by hitting cut, creating new mask, pasting it here, copying the blur nodes and connecting it to this other grade node we have for it. And we can maybe move this mask a little bit here so that we can exactly influence this area, making it a little bit brighter as it should be, like that. So maybe the transformation now can be a little bit weaker. So using my mouse wheel always when I'm changing the values and correcting the track here like that. Yeah, this looks better. This looks a lot better. A little bit of feathering here looks definitely a lot better. Let's see how it works. See, we have a little bit issue of going onto the wall here, and this is where we should animate our mask. So let's put the keyframes for it. To put the mask keyframe, you want to put this, set a key to a current frame or set it here like that. When your mask is selected, this will put the keyframe for all the feathering points and all the stuff you need here. So maybe a little bit less here, and yeah, so I made it thinner a little bit. Maybe one more keyframe here will help. And animation of the color correction at the very start of our cleanup sequence, so should be a little bit less intense. We'll lower the intensity then. Yeah, maybe I can even increase the feathering of the mask here, the animated mask, and it will also help. Or maybe making it less greenish. Yeah, I think that's great. So I may put a couple more keyframes, or just to be a perfectionist, but I think that it is done. Maybe a little more magenta here. Yeah, the color changes because the lighting changes. The guys are walking in front of him with lighting rig and they light the wall as they light him. So a little bit more rotoscope animation of this roto here. Close other nodes and correct it here a little bit. So to play back part of the sequence, you can set an in point like that and an out point, and this way you will loop between them. I'll just preview how your cleanup works. Another thing you want to do is to enable the motion blur in the last transform node. This way you will enable the motion blur for all the transformation you've done up to this point. So set it to 1. Yeah, but with motion blur I guess it looks more shitty. Yeah, so can offset the shutter to make it look blurred to the other side. Maybe make the motion blur weaker. So don't need as much motion blur on the freeze frame that is already blurred because of the motion blur. So yeah, perfecting the grades. So don't put too much of these keyframes, otherwise you will feel like it is flickering. Yeah, and I think that I'm already starting to pixel focus nature of the compositor's job. So if you hit this auto key button, you will be able to put keys on any frame for your roto. This could be also very helpful tool in Nuke. I'll adjust it a little bit here, maybe create a new point here to not kill this detail here, because I feel like I'm covering it at the very end. Another thing we could do here is to reduce the darkness of this strong black line there, as it is not so strong as everywhere else. And to do that, can create yet another grade node, connect another roto to it, and let's go to our reference frame here. So I will just select this region like that, blur the mask, and increase its gamma just a little, so blur strong, and a little bit of increasing the gamma should work here. Just a little, don't overdo this. Yeah, this is what was needed here as a final detail. So this is it for this class. I guess this turned out not exactly a basic class, but you know what it takes to get into CG. You have to be tough. So next time we will see how to extract the jacket using channel skiing inside of Nuke in front of this wall to not use any rotoscope anytime you don't need it. To get my fastest feedback and all these project files, including the scripts I'm doing with you here, I'll ask you to support me on Patreon. So for all the Patreons, I'm always in touch and I'm answering all their questions. My name is Kirill Pleshakov. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next class. Goodbye.